everyone, welcome back to the Real Thing podcast. So, this is a solo episode where I'm just going to talk for a while about something that interests me. And something that's been on my mind all the time is when I go and sit down to watch a movie. Have you ever been halfway through a film and thought, wait, I've seen this exact story before? The mentor gives a speech, the hero hesitates, the couple breaks up over a silly misunderstanding, and somehow you already know exactly what's going to happen next. That's what we're diving into today. Why movies have become so predictable, so cliché. So, first off, I think the biggest reason is kind of a harsh truth. Movies aren't always made to be creative anymore. They're made to be safe. Think about the Marvel movies, the live-action Disney films, even franchises like Jurassic World or Fast and Furious. These aren't just films, they're investments. Huge ones. Studios put hundreds of millions of dollars into a single movie, so instead of experimenting, they lean on to formulas that have already worked before. If a story was hit once, the logic is, why not just do it again? And it works, right? People love it. But the side effect is that originality takes a backseat. Take Star Wars The Force Awakens, for example. On the surface, it felt like a new chapter, but structurally, it basically mirrors A New Hope. Same beats, same kind of chosen one hero arc. Or look at Jurassic World, a modern reboot that's really just bigger explosions and nostalgia wrapped around the original story. In Fast and Furious, it started as street racing, and now it's just cars flying off bridges into explosions. Risk isn't the focus, spectacle is. And cliches, they're everywhere. They can be brutal because once you notice them, you can't unsee them. Think about Suicide Squad. Studio mandates turned into your classic team-up movie. Quippy dialogue, forced humor, predictable arcs. It lost any darker, unique tone it might have had. Or Black Widow. Same Marvel formula we've seen dozens of times. Tragic backstory, big action moments at all the expected beats. Cliches aren't bad in theory. They're only bad when they replace creativity. But the truth is, the film industry leans on them like participation trophies. They're easy. They signal, yep, story's working, audience will recognize this. Love triangles, wise mentors dying, training montages, misunderstood artists. They show up in movie after movie. And it's not just adult films. Teen rom-coms, Hallmark movies, which are very infamous. They're that kind of company that just very cliche. Almost every genre has them. Twilight, The Hunger Games, Rocky, La La Land. Same beats, just dressed differently. So you may be asking, why do cliches even stick around if we all don't like them? But there's actually a few reasons. First, they're familiar, obviously. Audiences get them instantly. You don't need an explanation. That's why the chosen one or reluctant hero is everywhere. Harry Potter, The Matrix, Moana, The Hobbit, it's a shortcut. Second, they were fresh once. They worked because they had real emotional impact. Love conquers all, redemption arcs, triumph of good over evil. They were powerful once, and now they're repeated so often the impact wears off. And interestingly, this is also very similar in literature. Third, time. Deadline, budgets, and fatigue push creators to default to what's safe. That's why Hallmark movies often have the same exact plot. Or why To All the Boys I've Loved Before feels a lot like 10 Things I Hate About You crossed with Clueless. And then there's culture. Society teaches us what stories should look like. Follow your dreams narratives, American dream stories. We're so used to them that when filmmakers write, these tropes are already in their heads, so it makes it really difficult to try and come up with something else. That's why some of my favorite shows, and I'm going to name drop some right now if you are interested, that what I like about some of my favorite shows is that they actually are very creative. Like, I've never seen a show like that. My all-time favorite show, and I've told this to pretty much all of my friends, if you don't know this by now, you now do, it's The Good Place. The Good Place is my number one show for so many reasons. Maybe not cinematography-wise, but it really is an amazing show. The plot, the storyline, and even if you've seen spoilers, please watch it. Seriously, it's really funny. I mean, it does have dry humor, so if you don't really like that kind of humor, maybe don't, but like overall, I really recommend it. But other shows that I watch, for example, Severance is like easily in like top 10, top 5. It's so interesting. It's like so dystopian, but it's so weird. So it's just like it's really interesting that like these people that oftentimes like when I was doing research for this episode that people are always saying like, oh, it's because of these like tropes that are already in people's heads. But there is hope because these people, like Ben Stiller and Michael Shore, they've created these shows that are just so weird and so new and unique that there is hope where we can get out of these cliches. But unfortunately, the final reason why cliches happen is money. Hollywood copies what works. After John Wick, endless stunt heavy revenge movies. After Mean Girls, every high school queen bee film imaginable. Success is imitated. So, like, once it happens once, the success, it's like, it's just the film industry. Like, Hollywood immediately grabs onto it and it's just like, we need to make 50 copies of this movie. And it just gets boring. There are also all these different types of cliches, and they pop up in ways we barely notice. Phrases like, we've got company, or it's not what it looks like. Characters like the chosen one, I've mentioned this. The manic pixie dream girl, I've seen this online, and it's so funny. The nerdy best friend. Situations like running to the airport, the misunderstanding breakup. Also, like, just oh my god, I'm just realizing this now. Also, like when you're like running in the rain, it's like you need, like in Little Women, like this scene has happened 5 million times. Like you need to confess your love to someone and you need to run, and it's you need to run to them, like they're across the town or across the city and it's raining, it's pouring, they're about to leave. It's just like it's so dramatic and it's just why. Also, plots like the hero's journey, it was all a dream, amnesia storylines. Oh my god, the amount of times I've seen that is actually like crazy. Themes like believe in yourself or love heals all. And visuals. Oh my god, there's so many visuals that are just so cliche. Like walking away from an explosion, silhouette kisses at a at like sunset. Like it's so predictable to a point that I've seen movies that make fun of it. Like there's this one movie, I think it's called, yeah, it's on Netflix, it's called Mitchell's versus the Machines. There's like a scene where that exact thing happens with like an explosion, but like they make fun of it, and that's what makes it funny because it's like every single action movie does that, and it's not realistic for one thing, and it's just like why would you do that? Even entire genres lean on cliches. Horror movies with characters splitting up, rom-coms with makeovers. I've seen this in literally every rom-com, I'm not kidding. Action flicks with ticking time bombs. And sometimes they're thought terminating, like everything happens for a reason, or love conquers all. Phrases that feel meaningful but don't actually like say anything. So that's what makes it so boring to watch these movies. And the bigger issue is that originality is often rewarded with more franchise work and not more freedom. Directors who make unique personal films, like I'm just gonna name drop some right here because I have them written down. Greta Gerwig, Chloe Zhao, Ryan Coogler, get pulled into massive IP projects. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's always safe and it always makes money, or 90% of the time. We're living in the era of peak intellectual property, a world where familiarity is king. Every time studios hit the safe button, money comes out. And why wouldn't they keep pushing it? But it makes you wonder, what are we losing in this process? Okay, now, so I want to do something fun. So I want to play a game called Guess the Movie or Movies game with you. So here's how it works. I'm going to describe a plot line, and instead of there being one right answer, it could match to a bunch of movies you've seen. So I'm ready, so let's try this. So plotline number 1, a young hero is forced to leave home, discovers they have a special ability or destiny, meets friends who help them along the way, and faces a powerful villain in the end. So I'm going to give you a second. I'm sure you could think of one right now. So For me, this could be Harry Potter, maybe The Matrix, Moana, even The Hobbit, and that's exactly the point. This story beat has been used so much that it feels instantly familiar. For me, Harry Potter's the best one out of all of those, but that's just my opinion. Plotline number 2. A group of misfit characters must work together to save the world. They fight, bicker, make jokes, have emotional moments, and eventually succeed. So, pause and guess. Okay, so this could be the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, or even older stuff like Ocean's 11. The structure is a template. Heroes plus conflict plus teamwork. That's it. That's literally what the cliche is. Plotline number 3. Two people who seem completely opposite fall in love. There are misunderstanding, some drama, a big gesture at the end, and of course, happily ever after. Okay, so this to me could be like literally any rom-com, but for me, what I wrote down was To All the Boys I've Loved Before, 10 Things I Hate About You, Clueless, and just literally every single rom-com I've seen in the past like 20 years. It's always the same thing. And you see what I mean? These aren't just movies, they're cliches, they're story beats that studios rely on because they're safe, familiar, and just easy for audiences to follow. Because that's another thing. The reason, if anybody's seen, this isn't really related to cliches, but if anybody's seen Stranger Things season 5, like, I love Stranger Things so much, easily in my top 5, like, favorite shows of all, like, maybe not all time, but, like, from what I've seen, it's one of my favorite shows. But season 5 was just so bad. Like, it started off really well, but the problem was that a lot of the plot was just so simplified because so many people were just on their phones the entire time. And like that's exactly the problem. People have short attention spans. So these cliches also help like the film studios like realize that like, oh, we need something predictable or something that will keep the audience somewhat like interested, because if it's something completely new, they're just going to be on their phones and then they're going to get confused when all these like new things happen. That's also why they stick to these cliches. Now, the Stranger Things season 5 isn't necessarily a cliche, but what they did was that they had their whole script for season 5 was just not good. That's just my opinion. If you liked it, perfectly fine. I wasn't a big fan though. So to me, the reason that it wasn't very good was that because they changed it so much because of how many people were watching it, and they knew how many people would be on their phones watching it. So that's another problem. So, is originality dead? Not at all, but it's boxed in. Cliches aren't inherently bad. They're only bad when they're used instead of something creative. The challenge for filmmakers and for us as audiences is noticing the difference and demanding stories that surprise us. Because cinema doesn't need to abandon familiarity, it just needs to remember why these stories mattered in the first place. Alright, that's it for this episode. Next time you're watching a film and thinking, I've seen this before, maybe consider what's working and what's safe, and maybe, just maybe, ask for a little more originality. Or watch the shows that I recommended. Okay, bye!